which means he had a respect for the business. And, you know, he was a young guy, handsome kid, had a lot of skills, but he's also coming into a foreign language.
Arn, we're going to do 2 more super chats here before we jump into Collision in Korea, because that also went down. Mike Parker. Mike, thank you so much for being here. He jumps in. He says, I feel like the NWA WCW TV title was similar to the Intercontinental title for the WWF in that they were showcased who the best champions and who could really go for the company. Arn, did you have a similar sentiment? I mean, think about the Intercontinental champs of the day, of the Bret Harts and the Mr. Perfects. And, you know, that, and then, you know, the TV title on the side. He's drawing the comparison there. What do you think?
He's right on, 100%. It was basically the same goal. And along the, you know, the Intercontinental title, the World TV title, I mean, you go back and look at who had the TV title, you know, and the Blanchards and, you know, Steven Regal and
Dusty was TV title back in the Crockett days, you know. Everybody, you know, yeah.
One run with Dusty Rhodes being the TV champion, and then that went to another level.
Sure.
You know,
yeah.
Blanchard was a great
Yeah.
TV champion.
For sure. We have one more super chat that I'll get to before we jump over to Collision in Korea, and that's from our buddy David Van Boglen. And David says, hey, you guys, just letting Arn know the knee surgery went great. I'm already off crutches. I have the next back surgery coming up soon. Just want to thank you for your kind words at the last Q&A. And that was with our traveling champions that we did last month, Arn. So great to hear that.
Great, man. I'm glad you're doing better. You know, just do your rehab and do what the doctors tell you. I know it's a pain in the ass, but they know their stuff, my man. Glad you're doing better.
Yeah. So glad to hear that, David. You deal with more than many of us could ever imagine, and you have such a sweet spirit. So we're so thankful to hear that from you. Let's talk a little bit about Collision in Korea. Here we go. It was April 28th and 29th, wrapping up the month. An enormous event, huge attendance, Arn, political implications. Can you share why you weren't part of the show? Do you remember why?
Lack of interest, maybe. I don't know.
They didn't. The Koreans didn't want to see Arn Anderson.
No, I think there was
lack of interest on your side.
On my part.
Okay, I got you.
You know, that was a communist country. You know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I do.
There was guys up on the hallways, soldiers walking the hallways that the boys were staying on with machine guns, patrolling. I kind of figured it was going to be a iffy situation, and plus the travel was absolutely brutal. They kind of, I don't know if the decision was made between WCW officials and whoever was over there, probably Inoki, right?
Yeah.
It would have been Inoki if they decided.
Yeah, Inoki, yep.
Maybe Inoki, because he did use a lot of the American boys in his company, that maybe he wanted to get them featured, and I didn't fit in that. You know, you're talking Scott Norton, the Steiners.
Oh yeah.
You know, those guys, Sting, whoever it was they used, Flair. You know, I wasn't in that upper crust deal. I don't think it was a negative or a slight to me, but
sure.
They wanted to, you know, this is a big show in a communist country, first time ever. They probably wanted to get their guys another shot in the arm.
No, Yambag Jones. Elegante was not on the card. So don't even go there.
Oh, I thought we were.
Yambag, that shit disturber, Arn. He's here.
You did it again.
Let's talk about, you said his name, so I'm going to ask Antonio Inoki. Have you ever had any dealings, or did you ever work with Antonio Inoki at any capacity?
No, I don't know that I ever had a conversation with him.
Okay.
Because when you would go over there and work for his company, you were dealing with underlings that spoke English, and mostly it was a referee or somebody that you would do all your communicating with. Sometimes you would go a tour for a week or two over there, and you wouldn't even see Inoki. He was there, but you just didn't see him.
Guys, guys or girls, if you have questions at all about this event or anything you want to ask, check in. We're at about the 45-minute mark, and we'll have some time for some more questions as we start to wrap up this topic. I want to talk about Scott Norton, though, here, Arn, because listen, when you're that strong, even the dumbbells get a bit intimidated. Here he is. He's confined to the room, fearing for his safety during the Collision in Korea event. Sounds like something out of a spy movie. Were you aware of this, or is there any stories that you heard from this time? I think they documented a little bit they did the whole Collision in Korea deal on Vice TV. What'd you think of, and what did you hear about this?
Well, I just think that you couldn't raise your voice. You were supposed to be on your best behavior. Like I said, they probably had all the boys on one floor so they could monitor them. But you walk out of your room to go get a bucket of ice, or maybe to try to head downstairs to get some food or something, and you got guys side-eyeing you with a friggin' machine gun. And,
No way.
the boys throughout history, like going to Japan, have tended to drink too much, raise too much hell, do things in a free country that you cannot get away with in a communist country. And to think somebody could have gotten shot, it would have not shocked me whatsoever. If one of the boys had tried to grab one of those cats with a machine gun and sling him down the hall, could have got very ugly. So I didn't push to go. I just kind of kept my mouth shut and stayed in the shadows.
Do you remember when you came back, did Flair have anything to say about the trip or anything positive about the government, or
Well, yeah, you got a taste of not being free.
Yeah,
everybody said, hey, we live in a free country. What we just came back from is not a free country. There's nothing about it free. You are governed, you are monitored. Every single thing about your every move is watched. And, never having been in that situation, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't like it.
All right, here we go. We have from 900 miles from normal. He just said, here's $5. That's all. He didn't even have a question, Arn. 900 miles from normal. Thank you for being 900 miles.
Hey, what a class act. Thank you.
I can't imagine if he was 1,000 miles from normal, how much he'd give. But I am so appreciative for that.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
There you go. We'll hide that one. We'll go on to the next one. And that's right. He's back. The Instagram wrestling historian. He said, how would have Arn felt wrestling for 100,000 fans?
Oh, gosh. Probably the same way I felt wrestling in front of 10,000 or 20,000 or 60,000.
So it's not
in Japan.
Once you get in there, you do your thing.
Well, you get to a certain point. If your arena is closely fits 10,000 people, if it's a full house, it is every bit as exciting as I would imagine 100,000 would be, because the more you spread it out, the sound goes up. And that's the reason it's a little funky when you see these, big WrestleManias and they're open air and you got 75,000 people there. If you're sitting out in the crowd, there's a few second delay from what happens in the ring to the sound hit you. It's a weird deal. So I don't know that it would just depend on 100,000 people. Is it a open air arena or is it a closed arena?
Dome, right.
Dome or whatever it may be.